This is my friend Amy, and I grossly offended her when I made a less than perfect sculpture of her head.
Nish, how do you know Amy?
This is my friend Amy. We became friends after I found her asleep in a box of volleyballs.
Finally, David, what is your relationship with Amy?
This is Amy. She is the charity shop worker who sold my shoes whilst I was otherwise engaged trying on a pair of cowboy boots.
Lee, where do you want to start?
Nish, remind us again, Nish?
I found her in a box of volleyballs.
First of all, where were you where there was a box of volleyballs?
I was working at a leisure centre just after I left school. And Amy was also working there over the summer between school and uni.
Right.
And they sent me to check on the volleyballs.
Just check on the volleyballs?
That's a good job from you, Greg.
Make sure the volleyballs aren't messing around. Has your manager recently been watching Toy Story?
I believe the technical term was conduct inventory. So I was just
You're
trying
supposed
to make
count
sure.
them.
Yeah, you're supposed to count them. And it turned out that what she was doing was because no one really wanted to play volleyball, she'd found the perfect spot to have a mid-work sleep in.
How big was this box?
It was, like, woman-sized.
Could she stretch woman-sized?
Yeah.
You've heard of a volleyball coffin? That's how they transport volleyballs. Yeah.
So you opened it up and you saw...
A sleeping woman.
Amongst all these volleyballs? How many were there?
I think probably, like, 35.
You see, you've just said to me that this box was woman-sized. Now, the largest woman I've ever seen is still smaller than 35 volleyballs. I've used this as a chat-up line. If a woman says, oh, I feel a bit fat in this, I'll always go, don't be silly, you're less than 35 volleyballs for me. So did you wake her up?
Yes. And so we became friends because then I would also often have a nap
In the volleyballs?
In the volleyballs.
What was her job supposed... What was she supposed to be doing at the time?
Perhaps she was sent to count the volleyballs earlier. Become bored by the monotony of the process. The boss kept... I keep sending people to count the volleyballs and they never come back.
Working at the leisure centre, Nish, what else did your job demand of you?
Basically, all-round dog's body, so I would work on the front desk sometimes.
I thought you said all-round ball games.
So everything except rugby.
Bowls, David.
What?
They're not totally spherical in bowls. That's
Are
why
they not?
That's why they curve.
I would say, colloquially, they're still round, though.
Oh, hello. It's all kicking off at Bridge Club.
All right. Okay. Who else would you like to quiz?
OK, Joe, what situation were you in where you were sculpting her head?
I have an office in Birmingham where I live.
That'll do. So, yeah, I totally believe it. I mean, that makes it... You can answer any question you like, I don't mind. You have an office in Birmingham?
Yeah.
But why? Why?
Just to write jokes and be creative in.
So, you went to this office to write jokes...
Yeah.
...and said to your friend, would you like to come along, sit in the corner, and I'll sculpt your head?
I've been looking for a use for all that clay I keep in my office.
Had you just been watching a Lionel Richie video? Hello? Oh. So, did you know how to do this?
No. But, yeah, I thought practice makes perfect, so I called Amy and...
How long did you spend doing it?
Maybe an hour or so.
Weren't you tempted to just make it really soft, get her face, push it into it, then do the back of her head, and then go, well, at least I've got a mould.
You said she was offended by this sculpture.
Yes, she was offended.
What did you end up with?
It didn't look like her.
What did it look like?
It looked more like Ainsley Harriott.
OK. Now, what about David? I'm looking forward to this. What was it you claimed, David?
That Amy is the charity shop worker.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
Who sold my shoes whilst I was otherwise engaged trying on a pair of cowboy boots.
Can you talk us through the incident, please?
Well, I was in the charity shop.
Which charity shop?
It was a Marie Curie charity shop near where I live.
OK. So I'm setting the scene before this. You're at home, you're thinking, it's about time I got myself some cowboy boots. I'm not willing to commit to a new pair in case I go off the idea.
Just on the very slightest off chance that they don't turn out to suit me and my personality.
Cowboy boots, I'll be honest with you, don't particularly appeal to me aesthetically.
Wow, that surprises
I don't think
me.
they go with what I like to call my style.
Right. Well, how would you describe that style, David?
I think my style is indescribable.
Oh, no, I could describe it.
I think it's best left undescribed.
OK.
I wasn't sitting at home plotting the purchase of some cowboy boots.
No.
I was pottering around near my house, and I saw the Marie Curie shop, and I saw in the window what looked like a nice selection of second-hand novels.
Right.
And I went in, and it wasn't a nice selection of second-hand novels. It was all Ken Follett crap. But I did notice the array of shoes, and I tend to take my shoes off at home and maybe wear slippers or socks. I don't want this to get too sexy. And so...
I need my inhaler.
So what I vaguely was on the lookout for was a pair of everyday, easy-to-put-on, non-lacing shoes that I could keep by the back door in case I needed to pop into the garden for some gardening.
But you said you'd taken some of your shoes to the charity shop.
I was wearing shoes.
What, you decided take them off in the shop and hand them to her?
When you go shoe shopping, do you go barefoot? Take you seriously.
No. When I take shoes,
keep me waiting. When
I take shoes to the Sue Ryder shop, I choose shoes that I no longer want. I don't wander around and then go, well, do you know what? You can have these if you want. Why would you do that? You take them ready to give.
I wasn't. It was not my plan.
Rob, can I just say, Rob, you're the only person in the whole of the United Kingdom watching this that isn't following this story.
Well, he said he took off his shoes.
Why do you think he took the shoes off?
To try the other one.
To try the cowboy shoes on.
Oh. Right, sorry. Well, David, I owe you an apology. There you are in the shop.
Yeah. I'm in the shop and I spot these cowboy boots, and to me, they look sort of quite loose and easy to slip on.
What length? Not width, length.
I'd say that long.
About that, so they're coming up to just below the knee?
They're not, you know...
How tall are you, Rob? They're not gonna...
For me, they'd be thigh length.
Can't see over these.
I would say they're, for a cowboy, they're shortish. But
Leather or suede?
But they're not ankle boots.
Leather or suede?
Leather. And with a sort of bit of... I don't know the technical shoe terms, but sort of like a bit of crenellation sort of flapping on them. I'm just going to have to use the terminology of the medieval castle. It's the only way I have of describing it. Anyway, they look
So
like...
you saw them? You saw them?
I saw them.
OK.
So I thought, you know, I'll try them on.
Yeah.
But they were slightly harder to get on than I imagined.
People in the shop, I imagine, were going, why is David Mitchell trying on cowboy boots?
The shop wasn't as packed as you're imagining. I thought myself to be the only customer there.
Right.
I was soon disabused of that notion.
When did you notice that your own shoes had been sold?
I think, well, I remember I walked to the back of the shop in the cowboy boots, restraining an urge to walk like John Wayne. And when I came back towards the shoe area, I noticed that my shoes weren't there.
And did you see who'd bought them?
I didn't, no.
I'm picturing a scene where you walk out the shop and you walk home, and then a few minutes later, a cowboy goes up to the counter and says, excuse me, I was just trying on a pair of... And then behind him, a clown, and then a sailor. And this just goes on all day, round and round.
Yeah. David, I don't know you. I've just got to know you today, and I admire you very much. But what I know of you from watching you on TV, the cowboy boots, it's just... I can't buy it. I can't imagine you'd even try them on.
Well, in which case, then you should say that I'm lying.
I might do.
So, we need an answer. Lee's team. Is Amy Joe's miffed model, Nish's sleepy sidekick, or David's sneaky shoe seller?
I'm more inclined to believe Nish myself.
You believe Nish?
Yeah.
Because?
Because, I don't know, I just think Amy and Nish look like they could be really good mates.
Miles, you think?
Well, I was looking at her very closely. While Joe was talking about sculpting her, she looked quite icy about the whole thing. And, of course, she was very offended in the stories, but during David's story, she looked, I mean, understandably baffled.
I think it might be Joe, actually. What do you think?
Well, I'm beginning to think. I mean, it doesn't even matter what I think. I mean, your own... I mean, my job really is to agree with you, Lee. I mean, you are a man...
Are we trying to reenact Dad's army here?
Do you think that's wise, sir? I think... I think Nish is telling the truth.
You think Nish is telling the truth? You think Nish is telling the truth?
Yeah.
Right, in that case, I'll go with what my team say.
You're saying it's Nish?
No, I'm overruling. I'm going with Joe.
Are you seriously?
I feel it's Joe.
All right. Amy, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Amy and I'm Joe's friend.
This is the sculpture that Joe Lycett... Oh, good Lord. This is the sculpture... Get ready for this. You will never, in your lifetime, witness a worse sculpture than this. Poor woman. Yes, Amy is Joe's miffed model. Thank you very much, Amy.
Thank you.
This is Charlotte. In the evenings, I like to relax by watching videos of her wrapping gifts on YouTube.
Right. Moira, how do you know Charlotte?
This is Charlotte. She does such a good impression of me that I once let her pretend to be me on Radio 2 and no one noticed.
And Lee, what is your relationship with Charlotte?
This is Charlotte, and she's my judo instructor, and she told me off recently when she caught me having a pint in my judo kit just before a tournament.
Before a tournament? Oh, that's the very worst time to be drinking, isn't it?
David, where do you want to start?
Well, Joe, that sounds like one of the creepiest things I've ever heard. you watch her on YouTube wrapping presents.
Yes.
Why?
Because she's very good at it.
That is not an explanation. That's why you might ask her to wrap presents for you, not observe her doing it.
Well, no, what she does it... she takes great care over the way she's doing it. And it...
So she's slow?
She's slow and
so not very good at it. So...
Joe, how long does it take Charlotte to wrap a present, would you say?
In the videos, I think it's about half an hour.
Half an hour per present? What are these presents?
She wrapped in a tank. I mean...
Why did you initially think what I need to relax is to watch someone wrapping presents on my computer?
Well, since I've been a child, I've had this weird sensation when I watch people with bits of paper, particularly, where I get this lovely, like, tingling in the back of my head. And I remember it when my grandmother was doing some paperwork and she licked her finger and turned a page and it made me feel really, really lovely.
The saddest thing is the idea that when you used to go around to your grandparents' house as a child, she used to do her paperwork while you were there. Mine used to take me out, they'd maybe cook lunch. Yeah. Joe's coming round, brilliant. I've got some receipts I need to go through, so...
Do you think that what you're saying, John, is that because of the years of neglect that Joe suffered as a child, he's come to substitute paperwork for love?
It's a relaxing thing. It's like having a massage rather than like a sexual thing. It's not a...
Opening, I understand. I understand a video of someone getting a present and watching the joy. Watching someone wrap a present, do you get to see who opens it? Or it just gets wrapped and that's the end?
I suppose you could play it backwards, couldn't you?
All right, David, who else would you like to question?
Moira, she's the best... She does the best impression of you ever.
Absolutely.
And how did you find this out?
I walked in on the production team on the floor, 2 floors down from my studio, and she happened to be in mid-rap.
She was rapping then.
Oh, she was rapping.
Can I just remind you of who's saying what?
She was in mid-imitation.
Right, OK.
So she works at the Beeb?
Yes, she's a researcher.
Right, OK.
So she was mimicking you
Yes.
behind your back.
So really, take a libby, really, in a way.
Having a giggle.
And you rewarded her by whacking her... Not whacking, sorry. You rewarded her by putting her on your show. That was
Not my show. It was the Chris Evans
Chris
breakfast
Evans' show.
Yeah.
So she actually read a bit of your bulletin
Yes.
on his show.
His idea.
Oh, it was his idea? Yep. He's a little imp, isn't he? So what would the introduction be? I mean, I'm trying to think now, and I listen to you every day. Of course I do.
The introduction is, this is BBC News on the date. I'm Moira Stewart. Good morning.
I'm genuinely having a panic attack that my kids are late for school.
And that's the bit that Charlotte did.
Yes.
It's possible. I think Moira's voice would be difficult to impersonate.
Don't encourage Rob.
No, on this account, have a go.
All right, I'll give it a try.
But if it doesn't work, you may never do Ronnie Corbett again.
No. That's too great a risk.
So,
what about Lee?
Lee, yes, tell us about how you got into judo in the first place.
Well, how does anyone get into judo? I was watching Kung Fu Panda.
And ruled out Kung Fu.
My kids loved it, and so they decided to take up martial arts, and they decided to take up judo. So I took my children to the judo, and it was a bonding thing. I said, all right. They said, come on, Daddy, you do it. So I joined the adult class whilst they did the kids' class.
How many weeks have you been going to judo?
I'd say I've been through about 30 lessons.
So it's like a weekly class
Correct.
for judo, but how does the tournament work?
Well, after
Is that on the same day as the class, or...?
Yeah, so we do it every week. We have a class, and then he said to all the men and the women in the class, he said...
Who's he?
Charlotte.
No, I haven't got to Charlotte yet. I haven't got to Charlotte.
So I thought she was your judo instructor.
She is.
She is?
She is, yes.
But he said...
Let me finish. I said tournament. Tournament? I've only done fat. I said, I'll do a tournament when you have a sex change, mate. So she said, next week we're going to have a little bit of a tournament between you lot. So I thought it was just all a bit of fun, so I turned up the following week, ready for my tournament, and I got there a bit early, dropped the kids off, but the adult class starts a bit later, and I saw the pub, went over, and I was chatting with the other bloke, who's one of the dads.
All right, so you're both in your judo gear?
Yes.
What's the name for that?
I call it the white dressing gown.
And she's come bowling in.
Yeah. So she's come bowling in, I said, bowling's next door.
Why is she in the pub?
Because she's looking for us, and we've gone on a bit late.
Oh, you've got...
Yeah,
right.
well, actually, what actually happened was we were a bit late.
Yeah, what did actually happen?
She's walking past the pub. We were actually at the bar, sort of looking out the window, having a pint and a chat, and we literally saw someone just sort of walk past and go... and then come in the pub and tell us off.
Because used to being the star pupils, obviously, you know, you was going to...
That's not how it works in martial arts, Danny. Not just the star pupils get respect.
Ah.
Everyone is equal.
And what's your favourite move in judo? Because judo is full of a wide variety of stances, and what's the one that really gets Lee thinking, this is
You
for
had to
me?
narrow it down to your favourite 6 or 7.
I think it's probably teppanyaki.
Sorry? That's a starter dish, isn't it?
Well, that's the funny thing. All judo moves are named after dishes. I did the sushi, the teriyaki, and the weird one you're not going to believe, the pot noodle.
If you wanted to demonstrate any moves, the floor is yours.
Oh,
if you feel that would help prove your point.
So, well, what you do is, I mean, what would you like to see?
Well, first of all, your opening stance.
OK. Well, don't do it back. Well, an example of a move. Rob, come out here, I'll show you.
Not in a million years.
Yeah, go on, get involved. Get involved.
You started it. You started this, Rob. Do you remember a minute ago when you said, get out there? You're regretting that, aren't you, Rob? Right, stand
How
there.
well have you taught him?
Stand there. Right. So what you do, the first move you'll do...
Bow to him, Rob, for God's sake, or he'll kill you.
Not firstly, you fool. Then you come here.
Ryan!
You take a lapel like this.
Yeah.
You'll take a lapel like this.
Yeah.
OK.
Whoa!
Right foot forward like this.
Yeah. Don't you dare.
I will. And then you get like that, and then you sort of lean on, and then you... Sorry, Rob.
They just said in my ear, are you OK, Rob? I'm a BAFTA-nominated actor. So, we need an answer. David's team. Is Charlotte Joe's soothing stranger, Moira's mimicking mate, or Lee's martial arts master?
Well, let's just get Lee out of the way. I mean, it's just silly.
Oi, come over here and say that.
Yeah, well, it doesn't seem very plausible, but that was a good move.
Well, he goes over easy, though, doesn't he? I think it's Moira. I think Joe, he's an odd mark, but I don't know. What do you think,
John? I think it's Moira.
Yeah.
I think we think it's Moira. I think on the basis that Lee has shown himself able to push Rob over, and that's not nothing. At the same time, it's not much. Well, hang on a minute. Just the rapping thing, that's just so confusing as a thing that I think I'm going to pretend I've never heard it. So,
you're going for
Team
Moira.
Happy will go for Moira.
The impersonation, the first bit of the news.
Exactly.
OK. Charlotte, would you please reveal your true identity?
My name is Charlotte, and Joe watches my videos to relax on an evening.
Thank you very much, Charlotte.
Thank you.